watch out.
Whoa.
My,
This piece of stick is not so good.
all right.
Hold on, we gotta get all the social media going too. Not as easy as it looks. You gotta like turn things on. What is that? Who are those people?
Whoa. Whoa. It's all sideways.
I don't care. It's gotta be sideways, don't you think?
I remember.
How crappy the quality is. No, not there. Back.
Wait a minute. It was about
Here.
you. Wait a minute. Then you told me.
Live. Then you ever ready to hit it. That's like me.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I am so excited to announce our final speaker for today, and this is Patricia Dahlman. Obviously, you've seen her work around, yes. So I'm just going to let you speak. There's nothing else for me to say. Okay, can people hear me okay? Is this?
Yeah.
You can hear me okay? Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you, people that have been here from the start and have stayed the entire time. I hope we're not putting you through torture. So, I mean, Amanda, I almost said to you, you can go now, but thank you for staying. And thank you so much for coming. It is really, and thank you for coming. And I really appreciate what everybody has done. What was that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. We had a shout out for you before.
Yeah, you missed it.
Okay, great.
All right.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay, I'm going to
Great.
start, and I don't have the history that those two have here in Newark. I'm kind of a latecomer, but I still feel real strong about being here, and I feel this is a really amazing community. I've met a lot of neat people, and I think there's wonderful things here, and I think it's really unique. Different from any community that I've been in, and I've been in quite a few. You know, we can't get this any darker out here, so these don't look as good as they could be, but we'll just do the best we can. I'm starting with this piece because when I got a studio at Index Art Center early 2016, I was working on this piece at home, and so I was a little bit going back and forth. And first of all, I loved being at Index, and it was really my first studio outside of my home. And my husband and I have always worked in our home where we live. So I was totally thrilled. But I was working on this piece, and this is a pretty big piece. And I showed this at Westbeth, and I made this it's called Shelter, and I made it for the Syrian refugees. And information on the floor will tell you what you can do to help them. And as you know, in 2016, a little before that, there was the Arab Spring. And there was there was good things at first, but it ended up to be a lot of horrible things as well. And there was a big civil war in Syria. Now, I'm not an expert on this, so I'm not going to lecture about that, but there close to 7 million people have left Syria. Anyway, that's what I was working on when I came to Index. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, when I got to Index, I was working with that form, and it wasn't anything particularly political, but I was just making work because I liked that shape that I made, and I wanted to see what else I could do with it. So this is on paper, fabric on paper. It's a pretty big piece. Next one, please. And I also made this this sculpture, which is kind of similar to the first slide. And I made this into a coffee pot. Now this is a good size piece as well, and it's made all from fabric. And underneath is all canvas. Next, please. Okay, I started thinking more about housing and homes for everybody. And I made this piece, and it's a big long piece, and you can see it right over there. And it's called Housing for All. And something I want to add is that most of the fabric I have used is from Halsey Fabrics. And that means a lot to me. And it's a fabulous store, and it's run by Mike. Maybe some of you know him, and everything, just about everything I've made is from, the fabric is from him. In my studio, unlike a pharaoh, we have windows, so you can look out, not to put a pharaoh down. We got far more space than we do. But looking out the window, you can see there's a lot of homeless people here in Newark. And I started making artwork about the homeless here and also the homeless people in Syria. And that gives you information and also tell you what you can do to help these people. Next one, please. During that summer of 2016, you probably remember that there was a horrible man out there named Donald Trump, and sorry if I overdo it with this. You're going to see a lot of anti-Trump artwork, who was running for president. And at the time, I thought our governor, Christie, was going to be his vice president. So I made this work, and I thought it was shameful that these horrible people were going to be running for president. Next one, please. I made this. This is Hillary Clinton talked about basket of deplorables, and they were them. Here they were. I remember showing this to Lowell when I made it. He said, "Oh yeah, you got the Klan in there." And it was so right on. I mean, they were horrible. And of course, Christie, he had all that issue with the bridge. Remember that? And now he's running again he's talking about running for president. People went to jail for him. And anyway, I'm not a politician, so I don't want to bore you with that. Next one, please. Trump became president. I was shocked, and I have to say, from that time on, for the 4+ years, I fought Trump every day. Got up and fought, and I never felt normal. And this is one work that I did, and one of my big concerns was that we were going to lose our health insurance because of him, because they wanted to get rid of Obamacare. And both my husband and I were on Obamacare at that time. So I made this work, and the next one, please. And I made this one, and this one is Make America Sick Again. And it wasn't just physically sick, but just going back to a horrible mindset that was sick in my mind. And next. This is in my studio, and Colleen took this picture. And when Colleen has, if you don't know, she's done fabulous work with artists here, taking pictures, doing her documentary, and I was lucky to get chosen for her to do that. So she took this picture, and I just wanted you to see the size of these, and also how pissed I was. I was pissed every day. This is smaller work, and I do a lot of work with just thread, and it's a lot more like drawing to me. This is a small sculpture, and this is Putin. And I don't know, does anybody hear anything new about Putin today? I mean, is it that there was a coup last night? I don't know.
He's in Canada.
He's in Canada. I don't think it's a small coup, but there's been some issues. Okay, the next one, please. Okay, also, I thought it was a matter of time before we could get rid of those Republicans, and I thought it was like bowling, we were going to knock him out. And we got rid of him. That's Paul Ryan. He was head of the House. We were able to get rid of him pretty early. Next one, please.
He got rid of himself.
And I think somehow we missed him.
Oh, let me
But
get
this is, that's okay. We can stick with that, but that's okay. This is a work that I made for a gallery called Odetta Gallery. It's was located in Bushwick, and they were putting together an exhibition called Curmudgeon, and they asked me to make a site-specific work for them, and I made this, and this is me and Mike putting it up on the wall there. Okay, this is, I made this piece on the left, and this is called Immigration Barrier. prototype, and it is supposed to be Trump's long ties. And I was able to show this at Index Art Center. This is a show that Agnes Dujay organized, and that was a wonderful show. Another great show Index had. And I kept on making work about the wall. This is Trump's wall.
Big beautiful.
Also, you know, what was going on, there was a lot of family separation going on. People were being separated from their families, and I was really so horrified that somebody like Ivanka, who had kids of her own, couldn't have more empathy for people that were being separated from their children. So I made this work, and it's a smallish work, and again, it's one of those real sewn ones. And this one, it was definitely a witch hunt. I was after to get that guy, and the blue thing is a blue wave, and we were all really looking forward to that blue wave coming in.
Is this fiber?
Yeah, it's on paper. It's sewn on as well, and it's actually really big. It's like 13 feet long.
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
So when you do fiber on paper, you're not like gluing, you're sewing, you're just like
So yeah, they're
stitching?
sewn on. They're sewn
So
on.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's in parts, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I had to do something positive, and it seemed really important to make something feel good, make something that made me feel good and that I was doing something. So I got involved with this organization in New Brunswick, and they're called Windows of Understanding We See Through Hate. And I did a couple of projects for them, and it's complicated how it goes about, but they partner you with a social justice organization, or like I worked with a social work group to make this, and I went to a festival in New Brunswick where a Latino festival where there were a lot of children and a lot of families, and I ended up taking a lot of pictures of girls and women. And what I did is I matched them with quotes from wonderful leaders in our country, women leaders. The top one is Maxine Waters, a representative from California in the LA area. I've been a fighter all my life. That's Maxie Hirono. She's a senator in Hawaii. And it was real inspiring, and it seemed very important for me to do that. Next one, please. And this is the next project I did out in New Brunswick, and this was interesting. I worked with people that counsel people that have to deal with ICE, and I spent like half a day passing out literature with them. And I made a couple of banners for them, cut out banners. One's here, you can actually see it. And this one is when they passed out the pamphlets, they're in Spanish, and what it says, I wrote it in Spanish and cut it all out, and it says what to do if ICE comes to your door. And they put it right in the window, you know, and the other one is as well. But what was always surprising to me is that I thought these would get totally trashed because they're in a restaurant, and they came back in perfect condition. They were up a month and a half, and people sit right under there, and I thought kids would pull them down. They came back perfectly. So that was a great project to work to do. Next one, please. Okay, this is that piece right there, and I still wanted to work with quotes that women leaders were making, contemporary women leaders, Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, AOC, you know, just people that I really found inspiring in this really horrible time that we were in. So I made this piece, and the quotes are backwards because we're in backwards times. And you can see it's a two-sided piece, so you can read the quotes correctly from the back of it. Okay, next. I also wanted to make something for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because I think she's been such an incredible woman, and also she taught here at Rutgers. I thought that was so important. She was a woman who, out of law school, she couldn't work for a firm. Nobody would hire her, and she ended up teaching at Rutgers. And she was here maybe people know more, 10 years, I think, maybe a little less than that. But anyway, it was just so interesting to make that and think about her, and she had a really incredible mind and a real interesting way of dealing with issues. And she was great for women's rights and human rights. So it was super exciting, and I love showing those. Colleen put them in a show at Index. It was wonderful being part of that. Okay, these are more smallish works that I made. These are women leaders. This is Kamala Harris on her left, Nancy Pelosi on her right. And I still think Kamala's great, but there were some times when I heard her, when she talked to, in the Senate, when she talked to that horrible Supreme Court justice guy and really put him on the fence there. I mean, she was fantastic. And Nancy Pelosi, I think, she just hasn't gotten the respect that she should. You know, she's the reason we have Obamacare, a big part of it. She impeached Trump 2 times, and I thought she was incredible after the insurrection, how she conducted herself. Next, please. And I made work of people I didn't like. This is Kellyanne Conway, and I thought she was a total creep. But you know, it's just interesting working. I worked on for about 10 different photographs of her, drawing into this, and
Is this sculptural?
it's 3D. Yeah, it's 3D. Okay, next one. We had the pandemic, and I started working with a group of other people that were making notebooks about the first year of the pandemic. And some of the things I made for the notebook were drawings from some of the masters. And I made this from the Mexican graphic artist Posada. And I thought about this image when I saw people panicking, when we all had to go into lockdown. It was a really scary time. Next one, please. These are some of the drawings I made for this notebook. And by the way, this notebook it's organized by a woman named Carla Ray Johnson. Anne, maybe you know her. Anyway, she has done amazing work with these notebooks. They've been all over the Hudson Valley. They're being shown at the Hudson Museum of Contemporary Art right now. And it's wonderful what she has done. And these are different drawings I made for the book. I hope you can hear me. Okay, next one, please. When we were in lockdown, I started making banners to put in our window, basically because they were doing it in our neighborhood. There were like kids and parents that were putting up like notes in the windows, and like with hearts and rainbows and different words, hope and that kind of thing. So I wanted to join them. So I made this and I put it, you want to put the next one on? I put it, ours in the window so people could hopefully read it. And at the same time, the organization Drawing Rooms were doing banners. And I think you did one. And Anne McEwen did a bunch and had a bunch for, and so it was nice to kind of be able to be part of that as well. And that was really cool, very cool. This is a second one that I made. Banner thanking the first responders. Next one. Okay, George Floyd was murdered. That seemed to really put a whole horrible new drama going on within a pandemic. And I made, this is a pretty small work. It's another sewn work. Next one. This is, Mike and I went to some protests, and we went up to one in Hackensack. That's not all that far from us in Bergen County, and it was interesting in that there were so many kids there, and basically it was like high school kids organized it. It was very impressive, and all kinds of people were there, but I was mostly impressed that there were so many kids there. It's really moving. So I made this work, and it's not huge. It's, you know, another one of those sewn stitch things. Next one. Okay, that's another one too from that protest, and there was a group of women that hung together that had these most amazing signs that we will not be erased. And it just was a really interesting, inspiring event. Next one. Okay, I got back into index again. We could come back. You know, we were allowed to please get back and work in the studio again. So I was able to complete this big Trump, which is over there. He's still there, and the words say "Fake America Again." I was able to finish that piece, and also I made this work. It's a flag that I made. It's called Trump's flag, and there's no blue in it, and the orangey wiggly is vomit with blue stars. Okay, he lost, right? He lost. Remember that. And I thought he'd be gone, but he's still. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with him. I'm really hoping he's gonna. You know, that's my dream. You know.
He has a waistline and some shoulders there.
Right, yeah.
That's what people are saying. Well, his diet, he doesn't have those cheeseburgers, you know. I mean, he had to go on a different diet in jail. So,
Give him a prison haircut.
next one, please. Yeah. Okay, and then we had the insurrection, and so I made a work about that.
What's the size of the insurrection?
It's smallish. It's smallish. Next
Have
one.
you considered something like the insurrection? A lot of people are taking some of their work and having it digitally created so that they can put it on walls as a landscape. And I think some of those would be really interesting. For instance, that one was there, and then the smaller ones were around it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay, this is my husband, Mike, and this is like, he got the first vaccine, so I had to, I had to take a picture and make word about that. So it was wonderful to get the vaccine. Yeah, and thank you, Lowell. I mean, Lowell was part of that whole vaccine process.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then, unfortunately, and you all know this, we were told that we had to leave Index Art Center. So I made this work at Index, and it's a smallish one, but it's funny because, like, I never noticed before, but the tree that was outside my window is outside the window. There was full of birds for like 1 or 2 weeks. I think the birds could get good food at that point there, and it was funny. It was like late winter, you know. So anyway, I took a bunch of pictures and I worked from them to make this, and that's the Bamberger building in the back. And next one. And this piece is over here. I wasn't very happy about leaving Index Art Center, and I wanted people to know how I felt about it. And that's what this is about. Next one. And I have a studio, a project for Empty Space now, and this is like a recent photograph I took of work that was up there. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you listening. It's been a real honor.
All right. Thank you so much, Patricia. So let's sit down and have a little talk. When you're ready, have a little water first. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out and asking great questions. We'll have another Q&A session when we're done with our talk. So, yeah, thank you so much for that. I wrote some notes. So I guess my first question is, I know that you mentioned your interest in the housing situation in Syria, as well as how it related to the housing situation in New Jersey. I think more specifically, you were talking about Newark. So, why is that so important to you, and how do you feel like, I know you were giving information on how people can help, but like, what was the inspiration to putting that into your work, and why did you do so much work on that?
I think all of us have had housing problems. If you're not looking for a home, or you can't afford your home, you're going to have to move, or getting a studio. I mean, that's something that, I don't want to sound like I'm sob story. It was hard for us to be able to afford a studio from where we live. I mean, it's pretty common from way back. I mean, my parents, come out of World War II in Europe. So, that's an issue that's in my mind, in my back mind about what happens with people not having home and, horrible things, civil wars happening, that kind of thing. So it may come from all that. But, but also, if you're in Newark, you see a lot of sad things and you can't not notice it. So, I mean, I think everybody that's here notices, and I think most people want to do something about it. And if you put it in your artwork, maybe you're doing something about it.
And I guess we can roll right into the Newark question I had. You definitely voiced your opinion on Index and how difficult it was to leave the building at 237 Washington. So I just wonder how much the landscape of Newark has influenced your work and how much you feel like your work has influenced like the arts landscape in Newark.
I doubt I have influenced any art.
Oh. Well, we're here.
But Newark has influenced me. I mean, because it's given me a community, and it's giving me a community I feel really proud of and that I like. And it's, it's diverse in many ways. I mean, age-wise, it's multi-generational, and I've gained so much from Newark. I really have. Mike and I have talked about it. Mike is at home. I get to go out to Newark, and he feels like, you get so much more energy from being in a different community than just kind of being at home. Where we are, we don't have any community there. So it has affected me a lot. I love the energy here. It's been really helpful. I've gotten a lot of opportunities, met a lot of amazing people, learned a lot, and really like being part of the community here. Definitely. I don't know if I've affected anything here.
Well, we're here talking about your work, so I think so. And for this show, you really, like when I did the studio visit with you, you were very adamant in a great way about showing political work. And I know that's not the only type of work you have, so can you talk about why the political work is so important now and maybe so important for the space that we're in right now?
Because we're in really weird times. I mean, it's like we thought we had progressed, and I feel like we regressed, and it's important to get that out there and fight it. Because, there are places in our country where women can't get abortions anymore. I mean, that's because of Donald Trump. Do you think Hillary would ever do anything like that? I mean, we're in trouble. So that's important to me. I can't not do it. Can't.
So some of the more positive messages that you have from female leaders, like you mentioned that you're doing that kind of in tandem with the other work. Is that a way for you to just like be able to emotionally handle all of the other work that you're doing with like Trump and the insurrection?
Absolutely, because it's a positive thing. I mean, I think that really pulled me out, that one election where so many women representatives were voted in, and they were so diverse. I mean, it was like, yeah, that's what this is it, we're there, But there is that horrible other side that, we're fighting tooth and nail. I can't not do it.
Yeah, no, you're super passionate about it, and I really appreciate that. So I had another question. I want to move to the image of Michael when he's getting the vaccine. There is so much detail in his face, and it seems like there's more like almost like a Cubist inspiration. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but there's like a lot of detail. There's a lot of colors that are happening, especially in almost it seems like he's wincing. So you're wincing, but like you spend so much time on that detail. Is that something that you did intentionally? If so, why? Or is it just something that kind of came out?
Well, I mean, a lot of us come out of Cezanne. When you look at a head, you see all these different colors, and that's pretty much where that came from, making a head, that kind of thing. I took a photograph of Mike, and all the colors in the photograph, like I put in there. But I think it's like a kind of traditional myself. I mean, other people said it looks like a comic book, and Mike actually hates it. So, like being
I don't like to have my photo taken.
But, did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, this is open forum. You can answer however you want. And then a little bit about the medium. So everything we're seeing here has been sewn. Are there, like, is this what you started with? Is this something that like is carried on through maybe generations within your family? Or like, how did you come to working with fabric and sewing?
I started out as a painter and I wanted to make sculpture. So when we moved back from California, we moved here in 1999, and I started sewing just to kind of figure out how to make sculpture.
Okay.
And that's how it started, just cutting up canvas and stuffing it and making forms that way. And that's how I just got stuck in it. And I haven't felt like I don't want to do that. That it's just so I could work in my home too. You know, I didn't have to take a class in ceramics or welding or whatever it is. That I could just do an experiment in my studio. So none of my family are sewers or anything like that. My mother didn't do any of that stuff. So.
Oh yeah, it's just very interesting. I was wondering if you could comment on that. So I don't know if there's some people in the audience who might have some questions for you. We
How
are a
big is
group
the
of artists.
Kellyanne piece? The Kellyanne Conway piece?
Yeah,
How big is it?
it's it's like that. It sits on a table.
Table size. I'm just wondering the scale. The small stitched portraits are so detailed and intimate, and then it seems like they're getting bigger. The Trump piece, and I'm wondering where you see yourself with scale as far as.
Well, I couldn't sew little stitches to make that Trump piece.
Right.
It would take me
Right.
years.
Right.
So, I mean, it's faster to work with fabric that way. But the little guys, I mean, they take, we're talking 6 weeks to do one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I want to do both of them. So I kind of, I go back and forth doing.
Are you voting for Trump? And
No way. I'm on the fence whether he should be, can we beat him easiest, or, is it going to be that guy in Florida, or, who's next? So I would never vote for him, for sure.
I have a question. So I think your work is so fantastic, both like in content and just like your material.
Phil Donahue.
I'm so curious. I think that it's really hard to make effective and thoughtful political artwork, and you do such a really great job. I'm wondering about your editing process and how you come up with your ideas. Do you just dive right in once you have an idea, or do you have do you take lots of sketches and edit things out? How do you decide? Because your work takes so much time. That stitching. I aspire to do more fiber-based work, but it's so time-consuming. So I know once you decide on an idea, you have to spend.
It's like all of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know exactly what I'm going to do and I do it, and sometimes
Right.
I completely change it.